Welcome back. Now, we know that sticking to your New Year's resolutions is sometimes not easy, and growth and change can be challenging, and at times you do need inspiration. Now, Dr. Simon Bobo, who is in us in studio to share some of his tips and ways on how one can start on a clean slate for the new year. Doctor, compliments of the new year. Good morning and welcome.
Happy New Year to the entire team. I just want to really thank everyone for the last good time we had in 2021.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for being here this morning. Doctor, for people struggling, year in and out with their New Year's resolutions and their New Year plans that they set for themselves, how can they go about it, with being a bit more successful this time around?
Well, the most important thing that everyone that is watching right now, that I want them to understand, you don't start by planning. That's the problem that many people have. That's why they never really achieve or attain their resolutions. You start by having an introspect. Now, an introspect is basically an X-ray check. Now, that X-ray check will highlight areas that needs drastic changes. Then it will pull out an honest report. Then you start from there, because if you start by planning, you're going to have a bias. But when you start by having an introspect, you're going to have realistic goals. Then you start from there. That's what I can really advise someone, that there shouldn't be a struggle, because if you really have an honest report of yourself, you will see the areas that really need drastic changes.
Yeah. Now, there are people that, normally set their New Year's resolutions and plans, but, fall, it all comes to, crumbles, like in the middle of the year or 3/4 into the year or a quarter into the year, they realize, that they actually can't do this. What do you think causes this setback? And talk to us about how they can keep their focus. So now you've done introspection. You've recognized the areas and identified the areas which you'd like to grow in and improve in, or things that you'd like to achieve, and you set out on your goal, and then you sort of get sidetracked in the middle of it. How do you then keep your focus, get back on track, and stick to this plan that you've set for yourself so that you can actually achieve your goal for the year?
Now, I'll start by addressing that question this way. You see, if you want to have progress in life, there are three things you must do. There are three things. Number one, there are things you must stop doing. That's number one. Number two, there are things you must start doing. Then there are things the third one, things you must keep doing. You start from there. So you're going to identify, what is it that I need to stop doing? Then you stop it. Then what is it that I need to keep doing? Then you keep doing it. And what is it that I need to start doing? Then you then begin on that journey. Now, in addressing some of these problems, when it comes to somebody wrote goals, it looks like they're sidetracking. There's no better way when it comes to setting goals than the SMART criteria. Now, when you understand the SMART criteria, basically it's an acronym that stands for specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, timely. There's no better way I've found that when you're really setting goals, you really incorporate this into your system. Now, this will help you, because like I said, if you just plan, then you don't have a measuring system that helps you to track your goals. You're actually deceiving yourself. So you must set goals that are smart. The problem is we have smartphones, but we don't have a smart life. That's the problem.
Smartphones, but not everybody that uses them is smart.
It's a smart.
I like what you said about what the R in SMART represents, which is realistic. And sometimes with goals, people have this sort of belief that it's not a goal if it's easily achievable. It's only a goal if it's something that you have to really work hard to attain, sort of exert yourself and go beyond what you usually do, and that's what a goal is to them. But when you take that approach, it can sometimes be that you've chewed off more, bitten off more than you can chew. And so your approach might be to start small and then build up to this bigger goal that you may have. Talk to us about, that approach and that method, because there's a saying that says, how to eat an elephant is one bite at a time. So you start small and then you work yourself up to this big end goal that you have. But how do you plan that? How do you put that in place?
Now, that's a very good question. You see, like the popular saying that goes that Rome was not built in a day.
Yes.
Setting a goal doesn't mean that it has to be a gigantic goal. The truth of life is this: if you're standing on one leg, you cannot be able to help someone. You must be able to stand on two legs first. Even when it comes to the law of weight, you can't carry more weight if there is an imbalance in terms of your balance. For example, I can give you an example as well. If you are in an aeroplane, the oxygen levels drop. They'll tell you first, when the oxygen mask pops up or pops out, you must help yourself first. Then you can help another person. The problem with many people that I've realized is that we live in a pseudo kind of world where we like to live a fake life that is not really real. You understand? That's why in the beginning I said, if you don't have an introspect, you're going to have a bias, in the sense that my colleague that I'm working with had some achievement last year, right? And as a result, I'm now planning based on that, not based on introspect. So I'm bound to fail. Why? Because I don't have the wherewithal that made her or him to achieve what he achieved. So I start from there. It doesn't have to be gigantic. Start small, because great enterprises have, small beginnings. That's what you do. You start small. When you start small, you build. That's why we have short-term, long-term goals. I think we're going to touch on that towards the end of this.
All right.
Yeah.
Talk to us about, if it is even really important or necessary to still set New Year's goals. I was saying to Denver earlier that it's so outdated. I said, to me personally, to set, a New Year's goal. I think a goal should be set any time in the year or whenever you like.
Well, there is an element of truth to what you've said, but you must understand that life is in phases, men are in sizes. You must understand that life is seasonal. So in each and every season, it encapsulates to a bigger thing. So there's nothing wrong in setting new resolutions. But personally, I'm not inclined towards New Year's resolutions. I'm more inclined to life resolutions, because I believe that the lesser will always be included in the greater. That's why I think it's very important to set more life resolutions rather than just New Year's resolutions. But like I said, New Year's resolutions can be short-term goals for your life. But the bigger overall picture, because like if you're 40 years, how many Happy New Year resolutions you've had? Countless of them, you understand? But the most important thing is, do you have life resolutions? That's what matters.
Yeah,
yes.
That is so true. Let's talk about the short-term and long-term goals.
Now, I'll give you an example. Somebody last year was struggling to save, having an issue in finances. Now, if you're going to set a goal, this is what you do. This year, 2022, my New Year's resolution is I want to save 60,000 Namibian dollars. Then I give an example. You're earning 12,500. Now, in order to do that, it means that your spending must be less than your expenses must become less. So in approaching that, for example, what is the short-term goal? I'm going to be saving 5,000 because a calendar year has 12 months. So I'm going to be saving 5,000. That's the short-term goal. The long-term goal is at the end, I must have 60,000 Namibian dollars as savings in my account. So what I'm going to do is that when I look at the salary that I'm getting, for example, I'm getting 12,500. Then I'm living in an apartment that is 7,500. That goal is not going to be achieved. You see that? So what do I do? Because you're already in a deficit. So I'm going to actually adjust my lifestyle. Then I'm going to look for an apartment, maybe a place for 2,500. And then I can save 5,000. You see that? That's the short term. But at the end of the year, I had a short term goal, saving 5,000 every month. I never did that last year. I actually thought the money was not enough, not knowing that my lifestyle was not meeting what I was getting. Now, there is a principle on that. For example, the master key principle when it comes especially on this example of financial wealth or creating yourself, saving and having financial stability as a goal. If more money is coming in than the one that is going out, then you're creating wealth.
Yes.
But if more money is going out than what is coming in, then you're getting poorer.
Yes.
So you start from there.
Dr. Bobo, thank you so much for your time this morning. It was absolutely lovely speaking to you.
Thank you.
That was Dr. Simon Bobo, inspirational speaker, talking to us this morning about New Year's resolutions and all the components that make up that. We'll be right back after the short break. Stay with us.